We own this. Testing. Not just
Okay.
the test, but also the
Adios.
software. So
You're
we have
connected?
so many agents, nurses, and counselors and all. So for them. we
Not
need
connected.
Salesforce, but I don't know, we have to still implement it properly.
Yeah.
You just have.
I think this one doesn't work. I think I'm saying sorry.
So let's, fingers crossed.
No? Oh, I have HTML. I decided there.
So guys, feel free to have some food. We have only this room for 2 hours. We're gonna wrap on after.
I hope it's coming up.
My husband used to work for a biotech company called Seti, and they also make.
Cepheid, I know.
Yeah.
I know Cepheid. Our service agents love going over to Cepheid company. My previous company also was team under Cepheid. The person who recommended me also went.
Really?
Not connecting.
They make assays, right? Assay platform.
Yeah,
Cepheid.
he's no more with them, he got laid off last year, and he's with Accenture now. But he is in SAP, he's not.
Oh, it's yeah, that's
He's not in SAP.
yeah.
I can connect mine, you can share your.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Anyway, I can log in. It's online only. That I'll disconnect from Zoom, right?
Yeah.
I can leave from Zoom, right? So that you can just have your own Zoom, right? That's fine.
No, you can just share your content. I will just broadcast Zoom here.
All the POs and everything.
Just share your content. here
Okay,
on
got
Zoom.
it. Okay.
Better. Inventory map.
Sharing is not turned on.
I'm being honest here. With
Yeah,
all
in
due
Salesforce,
respect.
not,
Yeah, inventory pricing, they do a better job of it, you know, very clear. Yeah, like.
Yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah.
Because we tried. For a
It was
long
coming up
time,
earlier, right?
They wanted us to. Please, help them with the inventory update. Also.
Can I try from here?
Work orders and all those things.
Yeah.
And
It's on the
and
CBD.
finally they gave us, this product is not for us. It is not for us. They wanted, as soon as they were making
Yeah.
the basket.
Mhm.
So, and in basket, there were 50 components. So as soon as they look back, it would be profit. The inventory should go down. And
Really?
then again, when ship this product, this inventory also, they have to, bundle.
Yeah.
up
You can
first.
start.
Okay,
Cool.
so we can get started.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Madhu, we can start with your introduction. Maybe you can talk about your background and then, yeah.
Sure. Hi everyone, and I'm Madhu. As I mentioned, I'm a Salesforce technical architect in Pure Storage in the code to cache space. So I mostly work on the code to order business functionalities. So in this session, I'm trying to just explain like what are the different patterns or anti-patterns which we commonly run into, and then how do we solve it, right? That's what I'm trying to explain. And Salesforce has recently, not recently, maybe 2-3 years back, they have documented everything in that website, but it's a lot of information. So I just took one small piece out of it, like composability, how that will help in our solutions, right? And then that piece only I took it out. Yeah, this can be totally like interactive session. Any questions, you feel free to stop me. And then even if you have any scenarios you want to discuss, just you can stop me and we can discuss it. It's more of like a collaborative session. Yeah, that's what I'm planning for. So in the Salesforce well-architected framework, what they're suggesting is like any framework or any solutions, if you're implementing in Salesforce, you have to think of 3 principles in mind, right? Like one is, this is not for the architects, it's basically written for the architects, but it's for everyone who is developing, doing the development, they have to think through in these aspects. First thing is trusted. When the trusted solutions means it protects the stakeholders, right? All the security related items should be your first priority while you are solving a problem. Any problem which comes to you, first you have to think through that the data, who can see this data, and how it's going to like be stored, whether it's like it is secured, and then whether it's going through all the compliance, those kind of stuff are covered in the uh, trusted solution principle. Like as I mentioned, there are a lot of information, so I'm not going through each one of them. Like if you have any questions, we can dig deeper to get into it, but I'm going to focus more on the composability part of it. The next solution is but next principle what they're suggesting to think through is easy, right? When they say easy, what they mean by that is whatever solutions you are trying to do, it has to deliver the value fast. So that means you have to think through like what is the how much priority it is. Those kind of aspects you should think. And then should I do customization or should I like try to do anything out of the box in Salesforce? So those kind of stuffs you will be thinking. So that's the easy part they're talking. It's not like easy means like it's simple to implement, but easy means like maintainability and then it's going to change in the next 2 years or 2 months. Like always it's going to. So you have to think through how it will be adaptable in the future. So these are the main principles they say, and for each of them, they're given a lot of patterns and anti-patterns to go through. But as I mentioned, like I'll focus maybe only on the easy part and then like composability. So as I mentioned in the easy, right? Like when they say the solution is easy, you have to think through whether what is the business value this solution is going to give to the business. That's the thought process you should think through. And then in that first thing is strategy, right? Like then every company, maybe you might have got, everyone wants to get their things done, right? So the first thing is prioritization. So for that, what kind of framework you are using? Even if you go to this link over down here, they have given a very like robust framework in terms of what questions to ask. Let's say, for example, someone is coming from for a requirement in Salesforce to implement. If you should ask that question, what if I don't do it now, right? Like, what is the cost it is going to happen? Like, let's say, for example, there's a trigger class or some class which is very like which has 3,000 lines of code or 2,000 lines of code, which is written long back, and then someone is asking you to fix the issues, right? So then there are two things you have to think through. One is like we can refactor the whole class, or we can just go and fix this particular problem, right? Then you have to think in what is priority right now at this point of time. So that those are the questions you should be asking before even going ahead and developing or implementing a solution on it. After the prioritization, you will have to come up with a roadmap of your business requirements, and similarly with the technology side also you'll have the roadmap. And then you need to have a lot of governance defined for your platform. So these are like basically what I mean best practices they are recommending, even if you want to have your platform like be an easy. When they say easy, as I mentioned, like business value, not only immediately and the long time also, if you follow these principles. And the next thing is the maintainability, right? Like any platform, what will happen once it starts developing, people would have a lot of code would have been written, and then it's basically tech debts will be occurring as part of the system, because it was a business need in the past, but now that becomes like anti-pattern. Like now people will ask today, like, why did you use that way? Because it was never a good way to do this solution in this way. Now it's a better way to do it. So the tech debts will come as part of the development. So to address these technical debts, right? So we need to have three key things in our mind, which will solve, which will not, I mean, currently whatever code is already done, we have to go and fix it. But then whatever you're developing right now, to avoid the technical debts in the future, you have to have three things in your mind from an architecture perspective or even from a development perspective, right? So the first thing you have to see, as I mentioned, identify the actual cost, right? Like whether if you want to do this now, or what if I don't do it now, what is the output is going to be. And then the road mapping. And third part is the composable solution, which I'm going to talk. So building composable solution is a way it will definitely help you to have less tech debts in the future. Sorry.
Yeah, before we composable solutions, can we go back to the previous?
Sure.
So in technical tips, as you said, identifying the actual cost of, doing the action and not doing action. Yes, that is one part. But technical tip also comes up with a platform. Let's take an example of duplicating of the workflows.
Sure. Okay.
Right? They gave a beta version for migration.
Correct.
which I'm sure at least 50 to 60% none of them use. They
Correct.
manually develop the flows.
Yeah.
And there are again, it's
Correct.
a challenge. It's basically a huge tech debt. for
Correct.
any company, because
Correct.
We have been using, ecosystem for like 5, 6 years or 10 years.
Yeah.
You'll have like 80 or 100 workflows. here,
Correct.
And you have to migrate everything into flows.
Correct.
Now, these kind of platform related technical debts, how do we handle those things?
Yeah.
Regular, which comes with the developer or development or the design architect, yes, we can have a roadmap. But how can we foresee or, incur these kind of technical debts into our
So that's where like what they recommend, even Salesforce recommendation is whenever you do, you have to ask that question. That's for the prioritization. So let's say in your case, there are 100 workflows are there, and then we want to convert them. But you have other business requirements, you have ongoing projects going on.
Yes.
So this cannot stop, right? So then that's where that question, whenever things come to you, you have to ask that question for every item which is coming to your plate or whatever the team. So they have to ask this question, whether can I not do this now? So then there will be a drop dead date on the workflow, right? So that will decide you like exactly. So I think most of the cases what I've seen is people will like postpone it, like because they want to wait till let's say the drop dead date is next Jan 2026 or something. They'll wait till like this September because they have other priorities to do, right? So I think that's where they're saying about you have to ask the question of what are the cost and benefit, and then whether something is more priority than this, then we should take that. So that road mapping stuff, right? That then those flow to workflow roadmap should happen like based on the drop dead date. It should be prioritized with other things, and then
Or you can take 20 to 30%
Yeah.
of tech dates in each sprint.
yeah, that is also another way.
Management, your manager or you have to decide that based on the business priorities and operational cost. We cannot take operational cost all at once. So the business will be stopped. What we do is we take I maintain my sprint as at least 20 to 30% of maintenance operational cost.
Yeah, we also have like a planned work,
Mhm.
40%.
Exactly.
40% support, and then 20% will be for internal stuff which we want to innovate or cover up something on technical development.
Yeah, it's a difficult. Sorry.
My current project was also like that. So it was in classic, this project, and we are moving to the lightning. So first part will be like all the flows, we have to workflows, we have to. So we are like how much work for the that's how we are managing, like 20% or 10%, it
Most
depends.
of us more or less will do the same, but while architecting or while the project discussion, we don't foresee these kind of technical bits. right?
Sure.
So that is something which comes all of a sudden because Salesforce never actually gives a roadmap for next 2 to 3 years.
Correct. Yeah.
Hardly gives a 1 year time frame.
Mm.
So that is where we plunge into difficult situation where you have actual technical debt because of your code base.
Yeah.
And the technical debt because of the platform.
Yeah, I think for sometimes it is bigger functionality, they give some time for the end date, I think. But I agree with you, like many stuffs come on the fly that.
But because I went through a lot of this, they are recommending all about from the developer standpoint and the architect standpoint,
Sure.
but not from the platform standpoint.
Yeah,
I think that is maybe one point they should be considering.
that is true. Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, hardware and certifications knowledge will go away, 100%, right?
Yeah,
Edge controls, visual post page, or components, LWC.
yeah,
Good point. We should complain to them.
Profiles also, I don't know if anybody knows. They're
Yeah.
getting profiles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
27.
permission sets, right? You have to move to permission sets. Yeah. So yeah,
I mean, they will be there, but they will not be used
It
for
is
the
in
purpose.
down.
They use 2027.
No, if you guys using DevOps process, so you'll know why those are getting, separate and all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Development and all profile you cannot do straight. There are
Yeah.
many hiccups in that. So
That's why they are
they
like,
want to introduce their DevOps system into Salesforce, so that is the reason they're duplicating the
Yeah.
profiles.
So is there an alternative company?
no permission set is
That's all.
Yeah. Oh,
That
permission set and
Yeah.
Yeah, good to know.
permission set and permission set groups. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, no worries. Yeah, sure. Thanks for the questions. Yeah, so when you say the composable solutions, right, I think it's it's basically whenever you do a solution in a composable way, like composability, it will give an ability to deliver it faster and then make changes and then address the tech depths in the future. Like I'll show you like regarding how to make a solution composable, right? Basically, you have to think three things in the three key things in the mind. One is the separation of concerns, and the other one is interoperability and packageability. The packageability part of it will comes only for who are maintaining or developing packages for Salesforce. Like I think most of our projects and stuff, we may not develop a new package. I mean, we don't create package and sell it. So that part is mainly for the package developers. But the separation of concerns is like basically whatever solution comes to you, right? You have to think of them as individual functional units. Like what is the function to be done? Like what the work to be done? You have to break it into as small as you can. So that way, the separation of concerns will make it a very individual unit, and then your particular logic will be in only that particular place. And in the future, it's very easy to change only one that particular model. So I can show an example there.
Mainly talking about the code base or a schema, everything.
Everything, right? So basically, I'll just show
Like
you.
reusable components, we break it into
Code is fine, I'm code wise, but at least like schema, let's say you have some complex schema on between account and related functionality and all those things. So
Yeah. So well, whenever you say the functional unit, right, like that should be a very single unit which will just take care of. I think it includes code, data, and everything. We should not be referring the cross reference like from your functional logic should not depend on any other package and stuff. Every package should do its own job. If you do this way, right, why they are saying the technical depths will be addressed in the future is in the future this can be replaced with any other unit. So let's say, for example, you have a lot of logic, and then you have to invoke an API, some external API, Google API or whatever API, and then you need to do something more to it. So everything has to be separated into a different unit. So in the future, this API of the Google API can be replaced with anything else.
Yeah.
So that is a composability piece of it as in the separation of concerns perspective. Yeah. So there are like few in the like patterns. I mean, I'm not like going through every one of them, but then have a like simple example to understand like what do I mean by that. So let's say, for example, there are a lot of multiple functionality classes, right? Then instead of like you have everything in one class, as I mentioned, like have an event based if you want to do it asynchronously. So that's also a composability because you are dividing the functions into multiple units. And like, for example, what is the anti-pattern in every, not only in our company, in many other places, what I've seen is like they will have the one trigger for one object, and then they've written all the logic in that, which is very hard to read through and then even do anything, right? So instead, just have the trigger minimal functionality, whatever you want to check, validate, and then create an event, and maybe invoke an API, do everything in the API. So that's composable, basically. It's basically breaking down multiple functional. It's like a object-oriented principle, like they say single responsibility principle. That one class should do only one thing. So don't do like multiple things in a single Apex class or single domain. Just separate it out and then invoke it.
So the financial force library, that's become a now pretty standard pattern,
Exactly.
enterprise
Yeah.
Apex pattern. So
Yeah.
a lot of people are adopting that. So that gives you whole structure. So you can write a code in that fashion.
Yeah. Basically, they have done like in the FFlip pattern. I think whoever's developed the library, they made individual classes for individual responsibilities. So all you have to write your code is only in one particular class instead of.
Yeah, so you have selector for queries, you have action manager for
Correct.
step, and the LWC code is just a UI, nothing there. And even they have like a mock testing and all those stuff, so running the tests,
Sure.
test-driven approach, yeah.
Yep. And another thing in the composability is the interoperability. Like, what does it mean is like whenever you are having a multiple events or something, right? Like you have to define it in a proper Apex classes and stuff. Like even someone they want a system-wide events to be sent, they are defining it in JavaScript and stuff, which is very hard to be used in flows and stuff. Like what I mean, this interoperability is whenever you define something, it should be reusable in some other place. That's the idea. So like whenever, like for example, if you want to define a platform event or custom events, if you do it in Apex classes, you can use it in flows. So basically, these are the three things which you have to keep in mind while developing a solution, right? Like separation of concern, interoperability. This will reduce the tech debts in the future.
Go in slideshow mode.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So there are a lot of anti-patterns and patterns. What are the tools, right? Like which you can use to make the solution composable, right? Like for example, if you are using your solution, whatever you are writing, if you expose it as a REST web service, then that means you are having this principle covered in that interoperability. And then the same thing with SOAP services. And then if you use change data capture, which is out of the box, Salesforce provides you, like whenever an account is changed or account is created, automatically it will create events for you. So there you will not do any coding, just a configuration. You'll enable the CDC events. That is also giving the interoperability because anyone can consume it. Let's say, for example, when the account is created, you have to send it to some MDM system or some other system where they can consume it and then they can do whatever they want. So that's interoperability that can be done by change data capture. These are the different tools which you can use, not just coding, even the out of the box tools also like you can use for to make this solution composable. Yeah.
CDC. It used to be called streaming APIs and push topics, right? Is it similar one?
Yes, it is similar.
Now they
So
rename
here
it
also,
as it.
whenever there is in the configuration, you specify specific object and those fields. And any change in the data for those particular fields, you will have a event.
Correct. Correct.
So it is more like a push topic where you push it into the message.
So now they are calling it as change data capture.
That's correct. Yeah. I think there's also platform events where you can write your own code to push the events, like you can publish the event.
So they're separating out platform events and CDC. CDC is actions on the crude operation only.
Yeah.
Platform events like you can control, you can have your own logic and do that.
So once you put control,
Yeah, so you can have platform view trigger from flow, code, whatever it is, it's different. This only happens on the crude operation.
Yeah. Also the like custom metadata types, if you use it for it, it gives you the packageability. That means your solution is like packaged along with the code with the metadata, right? So these are the like when I mean I can go through each one of them, but it's basically what I'm like trying to conclude here is like we want to make the solution composable in these patterns. There are a lot of patterns that will give you the ability to have the less technical depths in the future. Any particular discussion topic you guys are interested or like any questions?
So what are the things like to implementing? And let's see, you take your example.
Okay.
So what are the different libraries or how you guys are building this at your place?
Yeah. So one thing like we try to use there's a framework called feature flags. Okay, it was like open source framework. So there, what we did is like we have also lot of tech devs in our system, right? So how to release one by one, right? Like we cannot change everything on one day. So we use a feature flag which basically uses custom metadata. So there, let's say for example, let's say the order. I'm just giving an example. Let's say you want to create an order using system A now today, and then you are changing to system B, right? So when you can even have a feature flag in the custom metadata, and using that we can go to system A today, and then if you turn off that flag, you can have a code written to go to system B. So that's a one kind of framework. That's also is a composable. I think it will also come in one of the definitions, like where you have your flow defined based on the custom metadata.
We are also planning to implement this in 2025 first quarter. We have this roadmap.
Yeah, I think feature flag is very helpful. We have used it in the past, and where it's very useful, right? Like when we want to roll out something to production, and then we were not sure, we are dependent on multiple other systems, right? And then we don't know how the solution is going to work. So we turn it on and then we
Deployment process releasing.
exactly. So that's where even like they call it as like featured releases or even yeah,
Future releases.
yeah,
Because you deploy the code,
correct,
but it will sit in production
exactly,
without any functionality unless until you turn it on.
exactly, yeah,
That would be the release.
exactly.
So you already started implementing or?
Yeah, we have implemented this feature flags, like we are using it, like it's working. A few things you can do it in Salesforce out of the box features itself. Like for example, you can use a permission set, right? So what you can do, like when the user has these permissions, you can execute, even you can display those buttons and stuff, right? And then, so that permission we can give it to only few people for pilot users. So system will be live, but nobody else will see it except the pilot users, right? And then they'll try it out. And let's say, for example, you are putting it for sales team, and only for 1% or 2% will volunteer for doing some, instead of even doing UAT in UAT environment or sandboxes, right? They can even go live, but only those two people can do all the actions. So they will feel how does it work and stuff. And then if they like it, we can.
Yeah, so in my companies, we just, like you said, right, deployment versus release.
Mhm,
We deployed Einstein for
mhm,
service agents. And then we got them, in the past, we had a knowledge license. There's another problem. We had knowledge licenses separately, and we didn't have Einstein. Now they both are combined together. It's a mess. Now we have to scrap those other licenses, which we paid for 2 years. So this Einstein for service, it's literally two permission sets. When we buy the license, we deploy it for the set of pilot group. You're on the service side, not on the sales. So on the service cloud, we have Einstein for service. On the sales, it's Einstein for sales. That's a separate group. And then they see all these, the Einstein head pop up right at the top and all the questions. And it's really good. They're very happy. But now for us, the struggle is the technical debt where we paid for knowledge management, knowledge license. We have to scrap it out and plug everything back into Einstein. So that's where we are.
Sure.
So I am with you when you say it's a platform pain. So yeah, it's amazing the way it pulls up, because we have patient information, for example, like one number, unique number, and it pulls up information. But on the other hand, there's a bunch of things Einstein also throws up on screen saying sources. So it's pulling from everywhere. That's another thing you have to fix. So yeah.
That's how Salesforce is making money. That's
Yeah.
And that's why I'm
Yeah.
glad we have our jobs, whatever it is.
Yeah, actually, that's all I had. When any questions or anything, you can discuss with this. That's all the details I had.
This is good information. Maybe, yeah, we can, if anyone has anything like implemented like this, maybe we can talk about that experience.
Sure.
So from like, we started implementing that FFLM feed, so which is basically we're doing a lot of separations in code, like triggers, and also like, so our team is expanded suddenly, and then a lot of people are writing code and it's getting messy. So we stopped doing that and we adopted FFLib. So everything goes through, if you want to write triggers, the trigger is actually just a name of the object. Nothing is there. It goes into each and every different components, and right from the naming standard, the testing, and all, everything falls into that pattern. So it helps. I mean, it was really frustrating for almost like 2-3 months, but now, yeah, everybody's got it, how it works, how to write the code, where to write the code, where not to write the code, because there are lots of code we have to thoroughly, sit and reject it. Oh, this is not required. Why you're writing logic in LWC?
Mhm.
It's not required. So it took a while to teach everyone. Some people know, some people doesn't. So it depends on your team, right?
Yeah.
Especially we're writing a lot of LWC, and that's where the challenge comes, separating out things.
Do you guys use VS Code or any other tool?
VS Code,
VS Code.
and we have started using DevOps Center.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we are currently on Copado, but I think we are trying to move to GitHub.
Yeah, Copilot is good.
Yeah.
pricey, but it's good. It's best.
Yeah.
Job center is like a lot of issues, but it's working. I mean,
Okay.
Yeah, we're trying out free
It
version.
works only with GitHub, right? Not
No, it
Bitbucket.
works with Bitbucket now.
Yeah, GitHub bucket and then GitLab it works, I think, but not GitHub yet.
No, they started with.
They started like last year.
They started GitLab, not GitHub.
Oh, okay. But
No, it
Bitbucket,
works
I
with
don't.
GitHub.
GitHub is not live yet. I think that's my understanding. Maybe I can check that. But
For
No,
Copado, right?
for DevOps Center.
Yeah, no, GitHub is the one primary they released,
Yeah.
and then Bitbucket is just they
Something
just
like
started
that.
in like a Dreamforce.
No, I think they released with GitLab, not GitHub. That's what I'm
No,
saying.
not GitHub.
GitLab is paid
Yeah,
and GitHub is free source.
yeah, correct.
So they started with GitHub because
Okay, I'll check it, but I remember one of my friends.
No, I helped one of my friend who for setting up this for GitHub.
Okay, then it's good.
And then it went smooth, not that smooth, but it was okay. And then
Sure.
we adopted the same.
So do they support Bitbucket now?
Yeah, this
Yeah, I think that
Because
recently.
Apple has Bitbucket and they don't want to spend money for any Copado or anything.
Yeah.
I should
Yeah,
suggest.
so but the pain point is like we spend hours and hours with Salesforce support because everything working smooth, but suddenly if anything stuck, so your whole deployment stuck. So
Oh, no.
we cannot do anything. So we had to like save one tickets, get them on call,
Yeah.
Oh.
and then that's how we streamlined it. But now we know the drill. Like if nothing works, then scrap out, start something differently. It's not that mature, but it works.
There's no rollback, right? And rollback.
No, you can, there's no rollback, but you can actually take out those work items. They call it work items. And so basically, deployment wise is fine, it can go. But if anything stuck into your repository, that's the pain point. If it doesn't get merged, it doesn't get reflected or something, causing some conflicts and also everything you have to do in DevOps, not on the GitHub.
Yeah.
So that's back and forth thing, but
So
Cool.
for you, there's another tool called Flowsum. We
Yeah.
used to use, I don't know if you're
It's similar to Copado.
similar to
Built on-
Copado, right?
It's built on Salesforce.
Yeah, so we tried it. Please don't try it.
yeah, plus
Don't try it. Flowsum is, I don't know, go ahead.
yeah, gear set is one of the
Yeah.
simplified way. It's a low cost, but yeah.
Yeah, low cost, but I think it's more of once you're used to the Copado interface and once you start working on it, I don't do too much work on it, but it's really smooth compared to other Flowsum or Gearset. My team prefers, my team of developers, they prefer Gearset, but I personally prefer
Yeah, even I
Copado.
used to get it for long.
Yeah, they prefer that.
Deployment.
Yeah.
Salesforce, they're particular,
Deploy-
these three tools, Copado, Flowsum and GearSet are only for Salesforce. Unfortunately, in enterprise,
Okay,
I go to
then I'll
Salesforce,
just
they will
finish
say,
my
"Man,
talk.
you are said,
I'll just say thank you.
what about Java, what about .NET? So they all want to Azure DevOps.
1 second, maybe.
Because Azure DevOps can work with anything.
That's another thing again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even
Whole other
just like
experience.
Azure DevOps.
Yeah, Azure DevOps, like our company is like their Azure shop, so they're promoting Azure DevOps, but yeah, we don't have bandwidth and I don't know how it works. We tried Jenkins and all the stuff, so this is free, right, DevOps, so nobody can question it.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Yeah, thanks everyone for
Thank
attending.
you.
Hope it's useful. Thanks, Manoj, for the opportunity.
Yeah, no worries. So again, so we don't have a lot of speakers in Mountain House.
Yeah.
So if you have some good topics, anything like technical or
Yeah.
maybe admin side or anything like you want to talk about something which you implemented, so
Yeah.
it's good to share. So we just want to have monthly meetings going onwards. So it's kind of networking, but 30-minute session is fine. So just reach out to me if you have any good
Cool.
topics. I can post it for you and then we can get going.
Sure.
All right.
Cool.
Thanks, Madhu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one this is general question. So, have you ever made thought about how you will make a decision on whether to use a flow? I mean, a lot of things can be achieved, custom things can be achieved through flow, but then also there is a way. Always you can do custom development, but it might be complex to build that in a flow. So, at what point you decide no, custom development is better than out of the box flow?
I mean,
Apart from scalability.
No, it depends on a lot of factors. So
Yeah.
primarily, like if you ask any developer, they'll jump onto the code.
Yeah.
That's the problem. But there's so many things you can achieve in flow. So
Yes.
that way you have easy way to maintain it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because code is, again, it adds a lot of maintainability and then all those patterns and everything if you don't follow them. So yeah, most of the time we try everything on flow. And at the point where we see, okay, this is not achievable to flow, then only switch to the code.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so exactly my point is, when we start working on the flow, so even before that, what factors can you consider to make the best decision before even spending a lot of time into flow? And sometimes you build a flow, then you move to code also.
Yeah.
And I'll probably help you a little bit here. So I've been an admin myself for a while.
Okay.
So when we actually start, the whole perspective